Last week, we spoke about the Bracha Me'ein Sheva, Magen Avos, the reason for the takana, the Geder takana. Is it a Chazar Sashatz, or is it not a Chazar Sashatz, more call it a filler, Haracha, Nafkeminas Ladina. I want to continue and focus today's shiur more on the most common halachas negeya to Magen Avos. A couple are always negeya, some are smaller, minhagim. The Shulchan Aruch says, Siman Reish Samach, in the Siman, these 2, 3, 4 seifim that speak about the Bracha Me'ein Sheva Magen Avos. So the Shulchan Aruch says that you do not say the Bracha of Me'ein Sheva, Beis Chasanim, or Beis Avelim. Okay, Beis Avelim, so it's connected a little bit. We're learning Moed Katan, Avelis. Why not? Why don't you say Me'ein Sheva, the Bracha Me'ein Sheva, Friday night, Beis Chasanim? Zok the Shulchan Aruch, the reason for that is because people, She'ei Ma'achrin, what does it mean, She'ei Ma'achrin? Maybe people come late. But the pshat is that once you're there already, these Sheva brachas in the house, you eat in the house, the whole takana is that you come late. And maybe you leave late, so b'pnei mazikim. Now, Agav, Beis Chasanim really is in the town. Once they made the takana was all over. They were masakin regardless, you say Magen Avos. That was the takana all over. Narvos, the reason for the takana was Pnei HaMazikim. Avada Pnei HaMazikim, and in the town you don't have Pnei HaMazikim, but it's only when you come late and you leave late. But Beis Chasanim, you don't leave late, so Mela there's no takana. Finished, klar, there's no takana. The Poskim extend, the Shiur brings out, the Poskim extend that the Shulchan Aruch says you don't say the Beis Chasanim, Hu Adin, and actually Kol Shekain, when you have a one-time Friday night minyan. This is Negeya Ad L'Ma'id. We'll soon get to a regular Friday night minyan. But you have a one-time Friday night minyan, it's snowing, and you make somebody's gracious enough, even with the snow, to make it in the house, the Friday night minyan. Do you say Magen Avos? You do not say Magen Avos. The Taz says, it's a kolshkein. What's the kolshkein from Beis Chasanim? You don't say in Beis Chasanim kolshkein that you don't say in a one-time Friday night minyan. You don't say Magen Avos. Why not? What's the kolshkein? Beis Chasanim technically has somewhat of a kviyas. Every week it's a different chasen, but the concept of Beis Chasanim is there's an idea in Klal Yisrael when there's a chasen, you daven in his house or in the parent's house, and you have Sheva brachas. That's Beis Chasanim. Still, you don't say it. Kol Shekain, the Taz explains this. Kol Shekain, a one-time minyan Friday night that has zero kviyas. Mainly, you don't say it. Now, the vart is, it could be, now, so what? Lamaisa, technically, if you have the takana, you should say it. You should say it even b'chai gavna also. Why not? There's no kviyas. What does it make a difference? The teretz is, says the Taz, be'etzem bizmanenu, there's no reason for the takana b'chlal. First of all, we daven in the town, and even if we daven out of the town, maybe there isn't a mazikim problem, but there's no reason for the takana. Now, first, the teretz is, once they made the takana, we keep the takana going. However, if it's a minyan she'ena kavu, it's only a one-time minyan, so the takana never applied over there. I do want to say that the pashtus bizman the takana was negeya, even on a one-time minyan you would. The Taz is saying bizmanenu, that b'chlal the whole takana is not negeya, so we keep the takana going, but at least in a place that really there's no kviyas. So it's not like the takana has to apply over there. Merely you don't say it. So what do we have so far? Very clear that Beis Chasanim Zok the Shulchan Aruch you don't say, and B'meila, a one-time Friday night minyan, you do not say Magen Avos. That's clear. We'll soon see maybe differently, but for now, very clear, you do not say the Birchas Me'ein Sheva Friday night when you have a one-time minyan. It's the Geya Chveisa Snow, it's the Geya Amol, you have an older person, so he could walk to shul, he'll go Shabbos morning, and the Chveis mincha, you don't get a Sefer Torah, and then so you want to make a minyan Friday night. Do you say Magen Avos? You don't say Magen Avos.
Is that a one-time minyan that is what's with your would say? You do say Magen Avos?
I also don't think so, and I hear what you're asking, but the word is that be'etzem b'zman hazeh, the whole Magen Avos is not negeya. Be'etzem it's not negeya. Even chutz le'ir, unless you're in a very dangerous place, wherever it is.
Let's say Mazik can be included, and you're in the Poconos, and you're renting some place, and the place doesn't. They put up a tent at the other end of the campus for davening. So maybe that should, it's not chutz le'ir, but just look at Mazik on the.
So I don't know. Bizmanenu the mazikim, we saw two pshat the mazikim, either mazikim of listim or shadim. I don't know if you're in the Poconos on the other side of the campus. I mean.
To show though, there's people that live in these random communities that you literally need to walk around with a gun on Shabbos. What is that again? That's considered.
I hear.
Also, the meaning that you're talking about, like with a snowstorm, let's say an older person, someone's father comes in for Shabbos. Yes, it's random in the sense that you do it very sporadically, because how often do you have the snowstorm with a guest? But whenever you have them, it's good, no? Everyone knows that whenever there's a snowstorm, we go to so-and-so to daven, or whenever it's following Sefer Shabbos, we make a minyan.
That's basically Chaim then.
Is it?
Who says it's a chasana?
What you're saying is not better than Beis Chasanim. Beis Chasanim also, whenever there's a chasan, you go to the chasan's house.
It's over there at the same house. So Beis Chasanim is just this chasanim, and every week it's a different house. It's a conceptual kviyas, and he's a matzav
in one person's house. Okay, good. So we'll get to that.
The reason also, we know that whenever this happens, it's similar to the time in that sense, but
it's better.
Yeah. No.
I think it's more.
We'll get to that in a certain sense. Let's see what has to have the kfiyas. I'm going to jump ahead. Just what we want to speak about is my chavrusa pointed out that at least used to be in Elizabeth. There was a setup that Friday night he was in. Let's get to it in a minute. I want to go keseder, and we'll come back. I think let's come back to the shaila. What's the gather if this is considered a kfiyas? The next pointer in this halacha to speak about is a convention. A convention. So technically, it's a one-time Shabbos, whatever convention. I don't know, Torah Masorah convention, a good convention. It's a one-time. The Poskim say, the Tas says, they don't speak about a good convention, but they speak about a Yerid. To say, if you have a weekend long, you come to the big town, you bring all your merchandise, and you're there for a few days. And the Yidden over there make a minyan. So it's a couple of days. Zok the Taz, if there's a Sefer Torah, and it's for a few days, then you say Magen Avos. It's called a Kvias. We're going to get back to see snow, but that's called a Kvias. But Oifen, it's interesting, grounded at Balatanya, and Shulchan Aruch Rav says, Lakama Shavuos. But that's not the Pashas. Pashas, it's only Lakama Yamim. Lakama Yamim. And Lakama Yam doesn't mean just for a Shabbos. Sometimes you go, you mentioned about the Poconos, let's say you rent a house and you have a whole bunch of people that come from Friday afternoon to Matzah Shabbos and you bring a Sefer Torah. That's not Lakama Yamim. But I guess, let's say L'chayr, it's pretty clear now the conventions, if it starts Wednesday and it goes till Sunday, that's Lakama Yamim, then you would say Magen Avos. Just this morning, my chavrusa was ma'ir. Interesting. Just like Beis Chasanim, you don't say why not. Not because of the lack of kviyas, just because you don't have the reason of ma'achrim. Because Beis Chasanim, even if people come late, but l'maisa you're staying there for the meal. So l'chayr be'etzim the same thing as at least by a convention. By Yerid, it's not like you're staying in Yerid. People come wherever they're staying and they're in. That's where they go back to. So here you have this concept of ma'achrim, but by a convention, you go for Shabbos to somewhere to a hotel. So even if you do come, especially if it's in the winter, you're running late, you come late, and maybe even you'll stay late, but Lamaisa, everybody's staying there. So just ha'ara, it's tak ha'ara. Lamaisa pashtas advarm is that you say. Now let's go, so what did we speak so far? We spoke about like this, Beis Chasanim, even though there's somewhat of a kviyas you don't say, a one-time Friday night minyan you do not say. For a couple of days, these are kviyas you do say. Now let's go into most typical, classical shaila. A minyan for every Friday night. Yeah, for a lot of places they have a Friday night and a Matzah Shabbos. They don't. Shabbos morning already is a longer davening, and mincha you need to say for Torah, but they have Friday night minyan. Do you say Magen Avos? Do you say the Bracha Mein Shava? Why not? Why yeah? So the first thing is we already said that the Taz says the reason why you say by Yerid by a convention is because he's a Sefer Torah. So Pashtus, if there's no Sefer Torah, then L'chori you shouldn't say. So far with the knowledge that we have. Ramosha and Tshuva says that you say, and he says this that you, even though you don't have a Sefer Torah, even though you don't have a Sefer Torah, you still say it. He says the whole Sefer Torah, this that you need a Sefer Torah is a Chiddush. La'alacha, Zakir Moshe is saying. Mi'idach, in Knei Boisim, Rabbi Brandsdorfer has a tshuva, and he says you don't say. First of all, he says, because Lamaisi you don't have a Sefer Torah. But Be'emesin is a Luyutsu Yitaka, somebody Taka also for whatever reason has a Sefer Torah that maybe you would say. But then he says, which is mavur like that in the Eshel Avram, that the only reason you say by a Yerid, let's call it a convention, is what makes it a Kviyas. The Kviyas is because it's a few days consecutively. Beritzifus, it's a few days. Here, just kind of, it's like very araidik. It's true, it's every single Friday night, but Lamaisa, it's only every Friday night. It's not a few days in a row. If it's a couple of days together, then you say. If it's not a couple of days together, then you don't say. So Lamaisa, these are machloikis. These are machloikis.
Is this the same thing?
Do you say? Ramosha Feinstein says you say, and Rabbi Brandsdorfer says you do not say.
This is a Friday night minyan that's kavua at the same house every week.
Oh, now we'll get very good. Now let's go to one that's not kavua. If it's kavua, we have a machloikis. What's if it's not kavua? Now, Lefira Meir Brandsdorfer, you're not going to say just because not kavua doesn't make it better. But later Moshe that you say, would you say? In the case they have that every Friday night it's in somebody else's house, would you say? So the question is, and this is what I want to get back to the point that we brought up before, that Tehillah L'David says that if you have a minyan kavua, it could be a minyan kavua 7 days a week, and this minyan for one Friday night, for whatever reason, there was an issue, the steam wasn't working, they moved out of that place just for a Friday night. It doesn't make a difference just for a Friday night. It could be for 2 minyan and whatever, half a Shabbos. Once it's a few days, then it's a few days. You say it. Why? Because it's a kavua de minyan. It happens to be it moved over here for a Friday night. Oh, very good, very good, very good. That's what then we'll get back to this other shaila. The minyan is a minyan kavua. It happens to be for a Friday night. They went somewhere else. Now I can't say for sure. We're discussing together. Could be that Tehillah Dav is only talking about in a place it's a kavua dig a place in a shul. For one time they popped out and they went somewhere else. I don't know. Is he also talking about when every Friday night it's somewhere else? I don't know. But you can hear, like, very good boy, you're saying that Lamaisa, there's a kviyas in the minyan. Who cares that every single Friday night it's in a different place? It's a kviyas. But could be you could say it's a little worse off than the Tehillah David's case over there. The kviyas is also, it's a shul. It's based on Medrash Torah Tvila. However, for one Friday night they moved out. So now that shul is now wherever they are in somebody's house. But I don't know if in every single Friday night it's in somebody else's house. The minyan is a kviyas dig minyan. It's going on for 25 years. But maybe it only gets a kviyas when it's somewhere.
And what's considered what makes the minyan a kviyas dig minyan? I mean, it's because a minyan happens in this neighborhood every Friday night for 20 years. Does there have to be 10 of the same people there every week? Meaning, because we're not handling a makom, we're handling a minyan. So it have to be it's the same 20 people, or there's the same core group that's there every week. Let's say it's a place that they manage to get a minyan for a year straight, but they're always making phone calls. Who's coming? So they have.
It's in the same place, or you talk about in the rotating place? Where are you handling? Which, if it's in one shul and every single week, there's never the same people. It's somewhere out and what'd say?
Vacation village.
Yeah, and there's always someone else renting Airbnb and comes over. These never ever the same people. Lamaisa, that's called a minyan kavua. It doesn't have to be. I think it's pashut. I can't paskin like. I think it's a milsa the pshita. It's a minyan kavua. There's a shul there. These people. You don't have to have the same people. Even in the rotating minyan, also I would say the etzem. It's a minyan kavua. These are kviyas.
Everyone's always having guests, whatever. That's what mashlim the minyan. That's look at their kviyas.
Yeah, it's a minyan kavua. Minyan kavua, either you identify it on the minyan or on the location. If you don't need a location, it's only in a minyan, so you have a minyan.
Places called that identifies as there's a minyan kavua out the minyan.
This is the shul. This is the neighborhood shul. Every week.
So not out the makom. Not out the makom.
No, that is. Let's say it could be either one.
It could either be the makom, and even if every time there's somebody else, and it could be also the minyan, also even if it's every week somebody else. Let's say you rotate different places, right? In a vacation village, and every week somebody else, you just have to, that's part of the job. You have to find who's, willing to host the minyan. Never the same people every week, but Lamaisa is a minyan kavua. You're saying that's already...
There's no people, it's different people. And the places that it's too far out, they're hiring Bakrim to come for Shabbos. So they only have 4 people who live over here. So they're paying 6 different Bakrim to come every Shabbos. And it's in a different place every week. So there's no Bakrim. And what makes, because Tefillah takes place, because they have it on their schedule, that makes it a minyan.
These are minyan. Which part don't we have? It's a minyan kavua. Kavua has to be in one particular place. If it's in one place, you agree, even if every single week they get new people, it's a minyan kavua. So if it floats around, also.
It's just a place of tefillah. This room was set up as a place of tefillah.
So even if you don't have the same location, Lamais, it's a minyan kavua. A minyan, it's a minyan. There's a minyan you go to this place, this vacation place, every single week there's a minyan. Where the minyan is, who makes the minyan, doesn't make a difference. It's a minyan kavua.
They use a different room every week. It's up to whoever's renting it, which room they want down. There's no makom.
Right.
That's also considered a makom.
You could hear not a makom kavua and not the same people, but it's a minyan kavua, which means minyan kavua means that it happens all the time.
Every Friday night, that makes everything called a minyan kavua.
You could say this is the minyan of this town. It has a shape even. You could say, oh, this is the what's it called, vacation minyan. I'm saying you would say something like that, so you can see that it has a shaykhis.
You could even hear the concept of, let's say, they have a certain daven nusach Ashkenaz, nusach Svar. Then we could zicha here that these are kviyas to it. And even if not, let's just go back for a minute. The Olam was handling before on a one-time Friday night minyan. So l'chayr over there, there's no kviyas. No, l'chayr there's no kviyas. Meaning to say is, it's really serious whenever there's a snow, but that's not a kviyas. If it never snows, then it doesn't happen. Even if it snows, it's when it snows. So what's kviyas? It's not a minyan kavua. There's a location. Somebody's always happy to host it, but it's not there's no kviyas.
So what about winter time? What's the gather in that? Let's say in winter time. It happens, Sukkot to Pesach, or when the weather's on the...
I don't know. You want to know if somebody hosts it for 6 months out of the year.
Is your verb because mehekatesi it's going to snow, even though it's set up based on this? So we say when it's under 50 degrees outside, it's going to be a minyan. So now it's happening much more often. Or because it's still calling in an outside factor?
Good, I hear. You want to know if, let's say, it's freezing. Let's say somebody hosts a Friday night minyan in his house for December, January, and February for 3 months. So that also, to Santa Shaila. Is that called a minyan kavua? Ramosha says if you just have a Friday night minyan, you say Magen Avos. I don't know if it's just for 3 months. The places that you go facing the mountains, July and August, so that's even better than a Yerid. That's straight. That's there, Avada. But here, just Friday nights, I don't know.
Why would Friday night would be worse than the Catskills minyan?
Yeah, because the Catskills, that's right.
They have a makom there.
What about these kabbalah
places where
like Maui or Oahu?
There's no minyan.
Hawaii, I forgot which one it is, but one of them has that he basically has kabbalah house. There's a lot of non-from people that live on the same island, and they basically come to him for Shabbos, but he doesn't have it during the week. He makes it for Shabbos. So what would that be considered?
You mean a shul that just davens just Shabbos? So that's a real base of Knesses, Pashtus. That's a real base of Knesses, even if it's only a Shabbos menu. What I mean to say is, a Yerid, we said, has to be more than just a Shabbos Lakama Yama. But if it's a shul, let's say a Shabbos shul, a shul in the neighbor that's only open Shabbos, it's Pashat Ad L'Moedi, say Magen Avos. That's a kavua. That's, you have a Sefer Torah, that's a kviyas. If it's only for 2-3 days, you need Lakama Yama. That's a kavua. It doesn't mean that you have to have every single day. And if you have every day only Shachris, not my L'chayr, it's Pashat. I didn't see right now anybody to speak it up, but L'chayr, it's Pashat.
He's relying on people to come to Shabbos.
Yeah, that's fine. Lamaisa, if this person, he has a minyan every single Shabbos, it's a minyan kavua. It's fine. However he pulls it off, if he has a minyan, even if once in a while he doesn't pull it off, he doesn't have a minyan, it's kavua. What's about, so Lamaisa, this is Pashat. If you're going to start now, we went through all the halachas over here, and let's say, you're going to go with Rav Moshe that a Friday night minyan, you say, what's about the first Friday night? You're opening up a shul, you're moving to a new neighbor, the first Friday night. It could be it's Pashat, but in Rav Ephraim he says from his Yedid, Reb Chaim Kanevsky, that you say it. So I'm just saying, if you're moving to a new neighbor, you're starting a new Friday night minyan, you say it's not just because it's the first week. If it's something that's going to continue, you don't have to have anxiety. What happens if it doesn't work out? If you're opening officially a Friday night minyan, so you say, Man Sheva, if you go with the psak that you say every Friday night. Even though we spoke up until now that you say the birchas me'ein sheva only when it's kavua, not on a one-time Friday night minyan, which that's clear. Ramaisa the Magen Avram says that if you say Magen Avos, even in a one-time Friday night minyan, ein limchais. As he said to Magen Avram, the Machzah Shekel brings the Prima Godim. First of all, what's the reason? So the Shulchan Aruch Rav says, it's actually in parentheses, and the Tzemach Tzedek explains that when his grandfather has, in the Shulchan Aruch Rav, it's in parentheses, the Shulchan Aruch Rav was mesupik about it. But Akamanam, the Shulchan Aruch Rav, in the parentheses, says that Lamaisa, the Gemara says, they were masakin Magen Avos. Bracha men Sheva. The Gemara doesn't say, Bemet var mamurim, in the town, out of the town, one time, all these halachas. The Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara just says, you always say man Sheva. So Mamela, that would be why the Magen Avram says, ein limchos, biyad, for those that say Magen Avos, even on a one-time Friday night minyan, because Lamaisa, Medina Dashas, it's all over, it's across the board.
But if let's say they're saying it and they think it's wrong, we shouldn't say it?
Oh, very good.
You have to give a clap.
I want to get back to this. Very good. I don't have a clear answer, but in Har Tzvi he speaks about it. We'll get to that in a minute. Lamaisa, the Magen Avram says ein limchos, the Machzah Shekel, the Prima Godim says v'tzarech ian ktsas im lehav a bracha levatala. He says I'm not so sure if it's the right thing. It may even be a bracha levatala. There's another mokim to say it. The Ben Ish Chai brings the Rashash, not the Rashash in the back of the Gemara, Shalom Sharabi, the Makubal, the Rashash, that Al Pi Kabbalah, and he brings, and others bring, the Knei HaMenoyer, amongst others, that Hanoigen Al Pi Arizal. Some even want to be medayik it from the Arizal, that Al Pi Kabbalah you say it. So says the Ben Ish Chai says, even though we spent last week in the Shir to say the reason is Pnei HaMazikin, so the Ben Ish Chai, that's just the reason Al Pi Pshat. Al Pi Kabbalah you're always supposed to say it. It's Ka'en Chazar Sashatz, Al Pi Kabbalah you say it. Really, you always say it. Yeah. Al Pi Kabbalah. L'maisa, it's not so pashat. Sai, the Knei Boisim, Rabbi Barnsdorfer from the Ashkenazish Poskim say not to go with that, this Arizal. In Or L'Tzion, it says also not to go with it. It even says that if you look properly, the way the Medayik, it's Lavdafka, it's not Muchrach that Al Pi Kabbalah, you should say it. And maybe you shouldn't say it. However, this is pretty clear that the Minig Yerushalayim to go tak Al Pi Rashash is yet to say it. So maybe even though Al Pi Kabbalah to say it, and we say you don't do it, but Minig Yerushalayim they bring Minig Yerushalayim is to say it regardless, even on a one-time minyan. to conclude this this shaila, to conclude, I want to bring out an interesting shaila that happened in Tafshin Samach Tes. The Yerushalayim municipality was opening up parking lots. They opened new parking lots, and then it was going to be open on Shabbos. So the Yidden took the streets all over Eretz Yisrael to be moicha, and Yerushalayim, Palton Shal Melech. They made Afghana. What was the Afghana? To daven Kedusha Shabbos, to daven Friday night in the street. No violence, just to daven Friday night. Thousands of Yidden to come together to daven. So the shaila was, do you say Magen Avos by that minyan? Do you see us in Afghanas already now? I hear. A kviyas for davening Friday night, or maybe other good. So do you say Magen Avos?
Not just Minikagrol though. You don't say it. So.
You don't say it b'chlal, or the tzibur doesn't say it.
No, that what's it called? That if you have a shadow, my understanding was that if you have a shadow of the minyan, if it's good.
No, you said big Yerushalayim is to say it always.
Oh, very good. So, Zazoi, they asked Ramosha Brandstoffer, that's Rameh Brandstoffer's son, they asked him what to do, and he said that you say, first of all he said it's because Minig Yerushalayim, but V'oid he said like this, what we mentioned earlier, Tehillah LeDavid, the Tehillah LeDavid says that if you have a regular minyan and you go elsewhere, somewhere else, you say it. So here in the street, maybe these 4 shuls, this shul came and the Beis Yisrael shtib, the shuls came out into the street. So it's a minyan kavu, instead of davening their shul, they're davening on the street, on Kikar Shabbos. So you say it. Lamaisa, we have over here interesting shilas. One time if you do say, you don't say, you're from Bnei Brak and Yerushalayim, and you know. So it's a good shilah, Taka. What do you do? The Har Tzvi has a tshuva about it. He speaks about it. There's no clear takeaway. He makes tliyas about it. What do you Taka do? What do you Taka do? You're in a shul, it's a one-time minyan, there let's say noyeg api ariza, but you hold not. It's Taka a shilah. Pashtas, if you could halt kop, if you think it's going to be a shilah, then don't daven for the Amid. You daven for the Amid and the minyan's davening and they hold to say it, not to say it is not so, it's also not so simple. These are a couple of more dinim to speak about. I want to just end with one more interesting halacha b'negei to me'en sheva. We mentioned last week the shitas HaShulchan Aruch is that you could be yoytze the bracha me'en sheva, yoytze shmoin esrei with the chazan's me'en sheva. Dema says it's a big shaila, it's a machloikis, and we wanted to say it's totally Latin. But the Shulchan Aruch says you could be yoytze. If you didn't damage my nesri and you listen to the shliach tzibur say the whole me'in sheva, the whole bracha, you could be yoytze. It's important to note that you could only be yoytze only Shabbos, not Yom Tov Shechalias b'Shabbos. Upcoming Shvi Shal Pesach is going to be Shabbos. You can't be yoytze Magen Avos. Why not? Because in Magen Avos you don't make a mention of Yom Tov. We mentioned the last week's shir that Magen Avos is only for Shabbos, not for Yom Tov. We're not going into the reason. But Shmoyne Esrei, if you daven Yom Tov to get Shmoyne Esrei, and you only say whatever Yom Leil Yom Tov Shechalias b'Shabbos, you only daven Shabbos. You don't make any mention of Yom Tov. You're not yoytze. So maybe you can't be yoytze with birchas me'ein sheva. You can't be yoytze with the chazan.
To be yoytze with the chazan is the you have to ask him to be
that's a good shaila how you yoytze. The same would be'etzem be Ya'alav Yavai. Just past Yom Tov, Sukkos, we had Shabbos Chalamoid. You can't be yoytze with the chazan because there's no mention of Ya'alav Yavai, and if you don't have Ya'alav Yavai, you're not yoytze.
You don't repeat Ya'alav.
Yom Tov Chalamoid, you repeat. So maybe you can't. This should come out the same thing also. Rosh Chodesh, no. You could be yoytze. Parshas Noach, Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. If you don't say Ya'alav Yavai, you don't have to daven over. You could be. Reb Kiveger has a moiridige chiddush, and then with this we're concluding. Reb Kiveger says a chiddush gadol. The Bialacha brings it. If this Friday night you forget Ma'aseh V'Ruach. Doesn't have to be this Friday night. It could be any Friday night. You forget Ma'aseh V'Ruach. And you daven Nusach Ashkenaz, meaning to say is you don't say Moed at all in the summer. So by you forgetting Ma'aseh V'Ruach, you made no mention, no Askara. The halach is you have to daven over. You have to daven over. But Zoktib Kiveger, on a Friday night, you don't have to daven over. Why? Hayois, you can be yoitze with Magen Avos, the Bracha main Sheva. And there is no mention, the only thing you mention of the second Bracha is Mechaye Mesim B'Mamoroi. You don't say Ma'aseh V'Ruach Amorid Ageshem Mechaye Mesim. You don't mention it. So, and you could be yoitze with the Bracha of main Sheva. Oy Bazoy, the Shmoy Nesrei of Friday night. If you don't say Ma'aseh V'Ruach, you don't have to daven over. It's a chiddush of Kivega Blaives but Tzarachian. Fi this Reb Kiveger says the Das Torah, Shalom Shradram, the one, his grandfather in Das Torah, that Friday night Chalamoid, you forget Ya'alav V'Yava, you don't have to daven over. Apir Reb Kiveger. Just like Reb Kiveger says, if you don't say Ma'aseh V'Ruach, you don't have to daven over because it's not mentioned. So he says the same thing is also if you forget Ya'alav V'Yava, because there's no Ya'alav V'Yava Magen Avos. But it's a tzarachiyim. Because even though it's not mentioned Ya'alav V'Yava, Friday night Chalamoid, you can't be Yoitze. The Eishel Avram speaks it out clearly. He says that you can be Yoitze with the Chazan, but you can't be Yoitze with the Chazan Shabbos Chalamoid. You cannot be Yoitze. Which would come out, Reb Kiveger's Chiddush is only Ma'aseh V'Ruach. The Shulchan Aruch says you can be Yoitze with Magen Avos, but you can only be Yoitze with Magen Avos on a regular Friday night. It's not Ma'aseh V'Ruach. So Reb Kiveger says with Tzarachi and Kubi you don't have to daven over. But on a Friday night of Chalamoid, Friday night of Yom Tif, you cannot be Yoitze with the Chazan because there's no mention. There's no mention.
Mr. Chazan has the person in mind because there's such ta'osim come about here and there. But I think by regular Shemona Esrei, if someone doesn't know how to daven, he wants to be Yotzi with the Shliach Tzibur, he has to ask him. I think
good. That's a shaila. It's already past the time. There are many halachas also. I just want to end off with one mamash, a psak din. A lot more to speak about, like everything in the Torah. The lashon we say is Baruch Atah Hashem. The Chazan says, these are nusach of koine berachmov. This is minig, I think minig bells. And the emes is that if you look in the Rambam, the old Gersa used to also be koine berachmov. But some question, and our Siddur doesn't say berachmov, but some question, the bracha comes, the lashon is from what Shem, the son of Noach, said. Baruch Avram Lakeil Elyon Koine Shemayim V'Aretz. So they say, if Shem gave this bracha and he didn't feel that it's important to put a berachmov, we also don't put a berachmov. So just that we should be zoichet to have a wonderful Shabbos. Berachamim.